Where there is risk, there is choice, or my body, my choice. That is, unless you're talking about a novel intervention that public health has decided is the only way for you to do your part. Last week, I informed you that a group of BC public servants are taking the province of British Columbia to court to challenge and fight vaccine mandates that are leading to their possible termination in their industry. They wanted an injunction. And today I sit down with the lead counsel on that case and the lead petitioner to find out what happened in court. Drea, Humphrey here with Rebel News, where we tell you the other side of the story on current events, and we also take a stand for civil liberties in Canada. Many of you have done so with us. You have gone to our special website at fightvaccinepassports.com. There we have teamed up with the Democracy Fund charity, and we have taken on over 20 vaccine-related cases. Those are no job, no pay policies that companies have made, and even challenging BC for their discriminatory vaccine passport. So if you haven't already become part of the team of fighting for civil liberties, please consider opening up your device and typing in fightvaccinepassports.com and then donating what you can to keep that very important fight alive. And speaking of very important fights, today I'm going to sit down and interview Umar Sheikh, the lead counsel on the case representing 4 BC public servants who are challenging the vaccine passport for their industry. Now, Sheikh is a heavy hitter. He's no lightweight when it comes to these types of challenges involving public health. Formerly, he was the CEO of the BC Nurses Union, and he was instrumental in negotiating and coming to an agreement in this case. You may have seen me mention it in other reports before. It involves Dr. Bonnie Henry and Health Minister Adrian Dix coming up with an agreement that ultimately resulted in nurses not being forced to take the flu shot in order to work, and instead to use their judgment when it comes to needing to wear a mask. So perhaps I'm going to have to sit down with Omar and discuss that all together if he's willing in another report. But today we're talking about the fight for the BC public servants, including one. His name is Philip Davidson from Victoria. Now, originally when I reported on this matter, I told you that last week on Monday they were going in court, but the matter got pushed to last Friday. So I actually caught up with them right after that matter was heard to find out what exactly took place.
So I've been a BC public servant for 14 years, working with the province of British Columbia in various policy roles in different ministries, Ministry of Education, Attorney General, Ministry of Health, and most recently with the Ministry of Advanced Education and Skills Training. My wife, Monica, is also a BC public servant and works with the Office of the Auditor General. Mm-hmm. And we've both decided not to share our private medical information with our employer, and as a result have been placed on leave without pay. And we have been on leave since the end of November last year.
So, Umar, if you don't mind kind of giving us a short synopsis of what took place in court, that would be greatly appreciated.
Sure. So thank you, Drea. This was argued by Bruce Halliser, QC, who's a lead litigator at our firm and very, very experienced lawyer. He and I attended today Chambers hearing for an interlocutory injunction, which simply means we were asking the court for a block of time before these people were fired. And that block of time that we were looking for was from now until May, when this case is scheduled to be heard on its merits, which means that's when this case is going to be fully explored and heard with all of the evidence. And so what we asked the judge to do was grant us a very narrow injunction, not firing these guys until that case could be heard.
Yeah, so on January 17th, I received a final warning letter that unless I disclosed my vaccination status and proved using the BC vaccine card that I had received 2 doses of a COVID-19 vaccine, that I would be terminated on February 23rd. That date has come and gone, and I think has been delayed in part because of the legal action that we've initiated So yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And speaking about the legal action, Omar, what do you think the judge, or what is the judge really considering when it comes to maybe employment law versus the constitutional rights that Canadians have in this matter?
Well, first, it's a very qualified judge who's making the consideration, but they're considering employment law, which they should be. We argue that the primary consideration here is the Constitution. This case has some employment law inferences, of course, because people get fired or they get put on unpaid leave. But at its core, this case is about the government creating a regulation that says this part of the charter applies and this part of the charter doesn't apply. And what we say is when you bifurcate the charter like that, you can't then rely on that to fire somebody for cause. So the judge is going to be looking at constitutional cases. There are three main elements that we needed to establish today. We hope that we did, but there are three main elements that we needed to establish. One was, is there a serious question here to be tried? The Attorney General and us agreed in advance that yes, this is a serious constitutional question. Two, would they suffer irreparable harm, which essentially means could they be compensated by money, or would the harm that would befall them if they were fired not be compensable by money? And we argued that mental trauma and mental health and the trauma of the stigmatization and what these folks are going through. Some of my clients have been called white supremacists already. I mean, some of the vitriol against these guys is already very serious. And so we argue that that irreparable harm is there. Of course, the Attorney General does not agree with us, and they make a different argument. And then finally, you have to look at something called the balance of convenience, which means who does it hurt or help more to grant this injunction? We say we've got a case coming up in 2 months, which is going to be a major case. And so all we're asking for is for these folks not to be fired for 2 months. They're already not being paid. They're not receiving benefits. So we're just asking for them not to be fired for 2 months. And the province has opposed that on their grounds of what they believe that the law should be.
Well, I just know in my conversations with colleagues that are in the same position as me that the public service is losing a tremendous amount of experience and knowledge. Many people with over 25 years of service are being put on leave without pay or forced into early retirement. People in all different domains of the public service. So the public service covers a wide variety of things that government does, from education and healthcare to infrastructure, agriculture, economic and social development, child and family services. So there are a lot of things that BC public servants do, and that citizens of BC rely on them to do every day. And there already has been a considerable loss of experience because of this mandate.
Yeah, I think it's important for all Canadians to hear, and for British Columbians to hear, that we're dealing with a very serious charter constitutional question. Do we have the ability to set these types of policies? Do we have the ability to mandate these types of vaccinations? All of these questions are being decided now in various different forums. But what we're dealing with the BCPS public service case is a serious charter question around Section 7 and Section 15, and all Canadians need to be concerned with that. If we set a precedent that we can do this, then whatever the prevailing wind is next month or the next government or the next epoch, that can be done again. And so it's important to stand up, especially if all you're doing is going on the website and supporting, at a minimum, do that. But it's important to make our voices heard, that we're not anti-science. We certainly believe in science. We believe in a whole host of things that every one of our neighbors and friends believes in. But we certainly believe in the charter being whole and not divided.
Thanks for making it to the end of this report. Again, if you need more information about what's said, just search the title of this video on rebelnews.com. There you'll find the hyperlinks I've set up for you to find and share things easily. And again, another invitation to join our important fight at fightvaccinepassports.com, where we've helped the Democracy Fund hire over I don't know how many lawyers to take on over 20 cases that are vaccine related and help restore freedoms in Canada. Not a penny of those donations go to Rebel News. They all go straight to the cost for the legal fees as well as to the lawyer fees. I'm Drea Humphrey for Rebel News. So if you haven't already become part of the team of fighting for civil liberties, please consider opening up your device and typing in fightvaccinepassports.com and then donating what you can to keep that very important fight alive